G'day Maths Legends, you too can make it rain by learning how to do experiments and representing your experiments as probability as fractions on a number line. All right, good luck. Okay, Legends, so when we're looking at probability, the big thing we need to look at is first the language that we're using. So an experiment, we call them experiment, is an activity where the results can be unknown. A trial is one performance of an experiment, so one trial. An outcome. So an outcome is a result of a trial. So the outcome, and a favourable outcome is an outcome that we hope to achieve. So if we're saying, look, we play heads and tails, or we go paper, rock, scissors, we are looking at a trial. So one game of paper, rock, scissors is a trial, and the more favourable outcome is the fact that we would win, and that's how that works. Okay, whoever wins would be the outcome to that trial. All right, and then the whole thing is an experiment. So we never know who's going to win paper, rock, scissors. I know I've lost the last 3 games that I played, so you never know. So favourable outcome is when we win, or when we think we know what's going to happen. Okay, so if you've got a 1 in 5 chance, you go, oh, I think this is going to be one of my favourable win. Sort of like the Richmond Tigers winning the grand final this year, which is definitely not going to happen. All right, probability. Probability is a measure of chance. Okay, so the range of probability of an event happening, we look at from 0 to 1. So from 0 to 1. So 0 being impossible, then we'd go unlikely. Then in the middle, we've got an even chance. So it's a 50-50 chance, okay? Then we've got a likely and then a certain. And we know a certainty is that, you know, if you've got a bag full of blue marbles and you think that if I put my hand in that bag and pull out a blue marble, that's a certainty, okay? If you had 5 blue marbles and 1 yellow one, it would be likely that you would pull out a blue marble out of that, okay? So a measure of probability between 0 and 1 are written as fractions. So when we look at it, so if we toss a coin, we've got heads or tails. There are 2 outcomes. It's either going to land on a head or on a tail, okay? Heads or tails. So you've got a 1 in 2, so it's 1 over 2. So our numerator is the number of favourable outcomes, so hopefully it's a heads. And 2, the denominator, is the possible outcomes. So when you flip your coin, it's heads or tails, and then so we know they're the 2 ones we can guess. If we've got a spinner, and the spinner stops at, if we've got a spinner, just like the one we've got here, and you can see it goes all the way around to 12. So we have 12 possible outcomes. It can land on 1, 2, 3, all the way around to 12. So if we look at it, if we say, well, I think it's going to land on the number 2, okay, I don't think it's going to land. So I've actually got a 1 in 12 chance. It can land on any one of those numbers. I'm thinking I want it to be landing on 2. It's 2. Now, to increase the chance of it landing on that 2, I could add more 2s. So if I said instead I'm going to cross out that 3 and make that a 2, cross out that 4 and make that a 2, I now have 3 2s on that wheel. And what that says to me then, guys, is that it's more favourable that it'll land on a 2. Up here, if I go impossible, unlikely, even chance, likely or certain, I would still be unlikely, okay? Because I've still got, if I said that these 3 are all 2, I've still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've still got 9 chances that it won't be a 2. So it's still, I would say, that's unlikely. All right? Okay. And then down the bottom, if you roll a dice has got 6 sides. If I said to you, hey, for 1 dojo point, or if you can have a Freddo out of my drawer, if you roll a dice and it lands the number you choose, you have a 1 in 6 chance. Okay? It would be unlikely, really, to land on the number that you chose. Yes, there's definitely a chance. It's 1 in 6. It's not the worst odds in the world. If you play lotto, the odds are a lot larger. So you might say, yep, I'll take that. You might go, no, I want to sweeten the deal a bit. How about if I choose 2 numbers? So if it lands on a 2 and a 4 in that dice, you've just improved your chances. Instead of it being a likely of 1 in 6, you now have 2 in 6 numbers, okay? All right, let's look at the next one. So let's look at this spinner here. We've got this nice little spinner here. You can see it's got letters on there, A, B, C, A, B, A, D, D, okay? Now, let's look at the fraction of the chance that it'll end up on that B. So we've got a B here. I'm going to highlight these as we go through. We've got a B here. Okay, we've got a B here. So what are our chances as a fraction is it's going to land on that B? Well, straight away I can say that I've got two outcomes that I'd like to see. Okay, so straight away I'm 2. Okay, and how many outcomes are there all up? Well, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's 2 over 8. Okay, so even though I've got the same D and a D there, it's still a chance that I can land on those. So 2 and 8. So if I look at 2 and 8, I can divide them by 2. So if I divide 2 by 2 and 8 by 2, okay, I can then go a lower common denominator. So I can represent that as 1/4. And that makes more sense. A quarter of a chance that it'll land on the B, okay? Let's look at the next one, okay? Let's look at the next one now. I'm looking at, I'll just rub all those out. I'm looking at what if I could land on an A. So I've got an A here, I've got an A here, and I've got an A there. So I've got 3 A's. So straight away, if I look at my over here, okay, and I look at over here, I can say that I've got a 3 in 8 chance, okay? Now I can't divide those two numbers by anything else, okay? So 3/8. So out of the 8 outcomes in total, okay, I've got 3 chances of landing on an A. Let's look at C now, guys. Let's look at C. So C is, I'll just rub that out. I've got 1C. I've got just 1C. So straight away, I can sit there and go, well, I know that in C, I've really only got 1/8. So that's unlikely. That's unlikely it's going to end on there, okay? So I probably wouldn't take that bet. If someone said to me, well, the chance is going to land on that C, I probably wouldn't take that bet. Let's look at the next one, please. The next one says D. I've got 2 Ds, okay? And how many Ds end up? 2 Ds. Same as the B, okay? If you looked at it, hopefully you guys noticed that it was the same as that B. Straight away, I can say, well, there are 2/8 of a chance, or if I divide the 2 by 2, whatever I do to the top, I must do to the bottom. Divide 2 by 2 is 1, and 8 by 2 is 4. So I've got, again, a quarter of a chance of that being a favourable outcome for me, okay? All right, let's look at the last two. It says, what is the chance of the spinner not landing on a B? Well, let's look at all the ones. So let's look at the ones that are not B now. So are not B. So if I choose, highlight is not working. There we go. Working better now. Ones that are not B. Well, the C's not a B. The A's not a B. That A's not a B. That D's not a B. That D's not a B. That A's. So if we count all those up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the chance of us landing on something that is not a B is 6/8. And you can see those fractions are closer together, okay? Again, if I divide that by 2, and I divide that by 2, okay? 2 divided by 6 is 3, and 2 divided by 4 is 8. So 3/4, okay? I'm looking at that. That's much more favourable. It's not certain, because they can still land on that B, but it's much more favourable, okay? So definitely more favourable for us. And then finally, looking at that C, down the bottom here, let's rub all this stuff off, all off. Let's looking at C now. I have not landing on the C. Well, if I highlight these, that's not a C, 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 and that's not a C. So if I look at that, if I'm writing that down as a fraction now, I'm going to say the chances are even better. I'm now looking at 7/8, and you can see they're quite close, okay? Again, not certain, but more likely that if I spin this spinner, it will not land on a C. All right? Okay. And finally, your last task here is colour the squares to represent the probability shown, okay? And you can see that that's already happened here. So how do I match them? Okay, let's look at the first one, purple, all right? And I'm going to change my colour to purple. I'm not going to change it to purple. Doesn't want to let me. Okay, purple. So 1/10. So this over here is 1/10. Okay, so that's 1/10. All right, so that's this one here. Okay, so that's 1/10. Then I go to my next one. 2/5 is pink. Well, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. But I also know that if I had over here, this is really, there are 10 different outcomes. So looking at this, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You can see over here that this over here, if I times that by 2, okay, and whatever I do at the top, I must do to the bottom, that's 4/10. And we can see that clearly here. Okay, that's 1/10, 2/10, 3/10, and then 4/10. Okay, so you've got those there. So that's 4/10. All right. Okay, looking at the next one, 3/10 the chance of it being orange. So let's have a look at our orange. I've got 1/10, 2/10, and then 3/10. So 3/10 of it being orange, and that's that one. And then finally, my last one is 1/5 of it being green. So 1/5, again, if I times that by 2 and I times that by 2, and this is probably going to show it really well, that's 1/5 and 2/5. 2/10, sorry. I should say that's 1/10 and that's 2/10, okay? So that's this one here, 2/10, all right? So that's how that one works, written as fractions. All right, guys. Remember, if you're having trouble with this, make sure you speak to your teacher or rewatch the video again. All right, legends. Thank you.